KHOU 11 meteorologist Pat Cavlin here with an update on some flooding that's ongoing right now in northwest Harris County and in Montgomery counties. We've got flood advisories in effect for those areas, and here's the reason why. We've gotten about a half a foot of rain in just the last 6 to 8 hours alone, and you can see it extends here from just to the south of Cypress. We've got about 4 inches of rain all the way up to the Spring area and Roman Forest. So that's where we've had some pretty impressive rainfall numbers over just the last, again, 6 to 8 hours. So that has led to some flooding. We've actually gotten reports now in southern Montgomery County of a water rescue, water actually coming up to people's homes. So we have seen some pretty big issues. If you're seeing any of this where you are, we would really appreciate the information so we can pass it along to the National Weather Service. It was actually your Facebook comments that prompted them to issue the flood advisory because we passed that information along to them. All right, let's start you up towards Grangerland because this is where we've seen some flooding here along Old Houston Road. So Old Houston Road and FM 3083, this intersection here, there was a report of a high water rescue. It was a USPS truck. A mail carrier ended up turning, or at least trying to turn onto a roadway and got stuck in flooded waters. So, you know, just seeing some issues there. Again, this is in the Grangerland area, Old Houston Road. We've gotten multiple reports from the Montgomery County Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security of flooding along that road. So probably not just at this intersection, but as you go a little farther down. This is the reason why in just the last 6 hours alone in that spot, we've gotten about 3 to 4 inches of rain. Once you get down towards the south along Texas 242, 3 inches of rain. A little bit less here up towards the Conroe area, but look what happens as you go farther to the east. Areas with 4 to 5 inches of rain. And it is still coming down, maybe not as intense as it was before, but we are still seeing some pretty decent rainfall rates here. So again, Old Houston Road in southern Montgomery County along FM 3083, confirmed report of high water there and a high water rescue. Farther off towards the north and east, heavy downpours now catching a break around the Splendora area, but it was just hours worth of heavy rain. You can see all that yellow and orange, even some pockets of red, indicating some of that heavy rainfall. Along 69 where we intersect with Texas 105, rainfall totals here have been really impressive. 3 to 4 inches along 69 and FM 2090. This is in the Splendora area. And then once you get up towards the Cleveland area, still looking for reports up there, but we've seen about 5 inches of rain, especially there just on the east side of town. So along Texas 105 to the east of 59, some pretty impressive rain totals. And that's just in the last 6 hours. If you go even farther beyond that, we've actually seen totals above a half a foot of rain. So just some incredible numbers out there. Down towards northwest Harris County now, as we get you along the border of Montgomery County. Tomball here along the 99 connector here. So pretty much going along the 99 connector from 45 all the way down towards 290. It's just been tremendous amounts of rainfall. So communities like Klein, from Spring through Oklahoma, as you get into Tomball, we've seen a lot of rainfall, and now another batch of rain starting to come in. We had a little bit of a break there, and now another batch starting to work its way in here. So along FM 2920, just to the north of the 99 connector, which I've highlighted here. So there's 99. Just to the north of that, we're seeing heavy rainfall rates working back into the area. In these spots, we've seen so far about 1 to 3 inches of rain. It's really been inside the Beltway, though, where we've seen some of the higher numbers over the last 6 hours, 2 to 3 inches of rain. So we could see ponding on 99, maybe hydroplaning going to be a concern. About 4 inches of rain in the Klein area. Up towards Oklahoma, we've had about 3 inches of rain. So Tomball, you've seen quite a bit as well. And that's along Texas 249. Out towards Hockley, you've seen several inches of rain as well. And notice this area in the green here, that's where we've seen, you know, lower rain totals, again, 1 to 3 inches, but that's where we're getting another slug of rain coming in right now. Again, you can see that on radar, all that heavy rain starting to overspread the area. So from Nicholas Sawmill Road down through Robert Cemetery Road, if you live in these areas, FM 1488, FM 1774, up towards the Pinehurst area, heavy rain now starting to come into your location. And the reason why we're talking about this, even though we may not have seen flooding in these spots, these heavy downpours have not been moving very fast. They've been moving over the same areas. So even if you haven't seen flooding yet, Once it starts raining where you are, that rain could last quite some time, and that's where flooding is going to become a concern, especially after all the heavy rain that we had last week with that big storm system on Tuesday. So as we take a look at kind of the wider shot here on what's going on, you can see again over the last 12 hours. So this goes all the way back towards the overnight. We've had some really impressive totals here, about 5 to 6 inches in the Cypress area. So again, along 99 and 290, that intersection there, we've seen some big numbers. Again, 5.5 inches of rain. Spring, especially on the east side of Spring, we've gotten 6 to 7 inches of rain, some locally higher amounts as well. And this is again where we've seen some of those flooding concerns around the Grangerland area. Roman Forest, you're now up to 5 inches over the last 12 hours. It extends up to Splendora as well. So pretty much along 59 and 69, from 99 going all the way through northern Liberty County towards Shepherd. It's going to be a really rough go for these spots. If you don't have to be on the road, I just would advise against it. Cleveland to the east of town, you've seen 5 to 7 inches of rain. So it's been a pretty narrow corridor here of heavy rainfall, and I'm highlighting it wherever you see those orange and red colors. That's we've had some of those biggest rain totals, and that goes to what I was saying because, you know, down in Houston, down in the city, we have not really seen much in the way of anything in terms of rainfall today, and that goes to the localized nature of this. Because the rain has set up in this narrow band and hasn't moved, that's why flooding has become a concern, and we're still seeing the rain coming down in these spots. But yeah, just take a look at this. Down in Houston, the amount of rainfall that we've gotten in the city, about 1/2 inch, 1/10 of an inch. I mean, really small numbers. So we're talking about a pretty big change in rain totals in just a matter of about 20 miles. So in 20 miles, we've gone from no rain downtown, virtually no rain, just a couple light showers, to about 5, 6, 7 inches of rain. So again, it's along 99 here where we've seen some of the worst impacts through the day today. And this is going to continue here as we go at least through the next few hours. So these are the total, this is what we're talking about again. The areas, I know it's kind of hard to see, but the areas that are highlighted here in these green polygons, okay, these are our flood advisories. And they issued this new one here. Again, this was based on the reports that we had gotten from you, the viewers. They extended that flood advisory farther north and east. This one here for Northwest Harris and South Western Montgomery County, that's in effect until 3:30, so another hour left on that. We'll see if they extend it. The one farther north and east for Liberty and Montgomery County, for eastern Montgomery County, that's in effect till 5 o'clock. And again, that's where we've seen some totals in the range of 5 to 8 inches in just the last 8 to 12 hours. So some really impressive numbers there. And again, radar continuing to show this band of rain still streaming in from the south and west over the same areas. So we'll have to keep a very close eye on these spots. A flood advisory just means that flooding could happen, that we're starting to see some localized street flooding, some local problems, but nothing to the point where it's life and death yet. Once we get to the level of a flash flood warning, that's when floodwaters start to rise rapidly. They start to inundate homes a little more wide, on a more of a widespread scale. It goes from being localized to more widespread. We haven't seen any of those yet, but I mean, just look at all this rain that we still have to deal with going all the way down towards the south and west, still streaming into the area. So what's driving all of this? It's an approaching cold front, but it's moving really slow. It's basically a stationary front at this point. Now, eventually, it does get that kick to push through the area, but ahead of it, you've got all of this moisture, again, streaming up towards the north and east and developing along that front. Temperatures around Houston and just to the south and west of Houston, where we've gotten a little bit of a couple breaks of sunshine, are pushing 80 degrees. So the atmosphere is really primed here for this flooding potential. So how much rain could we see going forward as we go through the rest of the day? I think on average about 1 to 2 inches. But again, notice this really narrow band here extending from Katy through Conroe, through the Spring area, the Woodlands, all the way into northern Liberty County, southern Polk, San Jacinto. That's where that band will continue to kind of sit over the next few hours, and that's where we could see an additional maybe 2 to 4 inches of rain, which would lead to even greater flooding concerns. The good news, though, is that as this line finally starts to get going, I think it starts to weaken, and so that flooding threat will diminish for the city of Houston, for Sugar Land, for League City, down towards Galveston. It's really going to be an event for areas north of the city over the next few hours. But this is the area that they have highlighted for flooding concern as we go through the rest of the day. You can see that includes Northwest Harris County, that includes Montgomery County. So the areas that we're dealing with right now on the northern edge of that slight risk. So on a scale of 1 to 4, 4 being the worst, that high risk, we are at a threat level 2. So it's a mid-level threat that we're dealing with here for the potential to see flash flooding. That does extend into Houston, and the reason for that is just because we got so much rain about 5 days ago that the ground is still very saturated, so it's not going to be absorbed as readily as it would have maybe if we had been coming out of a drier period. So that's what we're dealing with right now. That's the concern. There's also the chance, a low-end chance, for some severe weather today on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the worst. It's a threat level 1. And the primary threats are going to be hail and street flooding. Street flooding, we're already seeing it out there right now. Can't rule out an isolated weak tornado, but I think that chance is extremely low. This is really a hail and flooding rain event for us. So to recap, we are still dealing with, again, tremendous amounts of rainfall north of the city along 99 between 45 going out towards 59, and this already extends all the way out towards the north and west as you get into along 290 as well. So these are some of the rain totals that we're looking at just from the last 6 hours. Again, about 6 to 7 inches here near the Spring area. Let me change the colors so it's a little easier to see. Again, 6 to 7 inches there along 99 and 45, and then heavy rainfall amounts going all the way from Tomball back through Cypress, and we are expecting more rain to come down in these areas. That's why the flood advisory has been issued. Again, if you live in an area that's seeing high water, that's seeing flooding, send us some photos through Facebook, Twitter, and that just gives us eyes and ears on the ground. Obviously, we can't be everywhere at once. It also helps the National Weather Service to issue these warnings in case situations become worse than they already are. We're going to be doing updates here through the afternoon. We do not have a 5:30 newscast because obviously we've got the big football championship game on tonight. But of course, if anything significant happens, we'll squeeze on air just to give you a little update. So thank you for watching and stay safe, and we'll see you back here in a little bit.